Hello, welcome to Talk Seagulls. We're back at Earth and Stars, not far from Hope and Ruin. I had to get this right because people are like, where's Earth and Stars? Well, it's actually in the lanes and then across the road from Hope and Ruin. Here we are, pretty much. We're in Brighton again, and I'm joined by former Albion goalkeeper and absolute hero because I've been really nice about him on some of the intros recently. So I thought I'd better big you up a little bit. Toby, you're back here again.
Yeah, that's nice of you, mate. Yeah, you've been a bit harsh with some of the intros.
I have,
so yeah, that's a bit better.
I felt a bit guilty, I'm not going to lie. I looked at the last one, I was like, Liverpool, sort of, so I thought, do you know what?
Yeah, we're doing well. Like, come on.
Yeah, no, fair play. We are doing well. People are enjoying the content as well, of course. But mate, Bournemouth, it's going to be a difficult game because Brighton historically going to the Vitality gives me PTSD. We have not got a good record there, it has to be said. The last time I went, I think we lost 3-0. I mean, to be fair, we did have half a team then. We do have obviously a much better squad at the moment. We're in a pretty good place. We've just beaten Manchester City. But two of the most recent games at Bournemouth's ground, they've won obviously the City game as well. Arsenal they've beaten there as well. So I've got to be honest. I'm not looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I think it will be a difficult one. Bournemouth look quite strong at home. Obviously, I think it's at the Amex. Might be a different story. But they do look strong at home. So yeah, it will be a difficult game, and they're playing good football. I have to admit they are playing good football. So yeah, it will be a tough one, I think. Yeah,
they got a good side. They're very, very stacked as we know, but we're very good as well. It has to be said. This Brighton team is getting better every single week, as we said sort of last week about Hertz's tactics. Finally, sort of we're seeing maybe the direction that he wants to go in. We're seeing the way we can grind out results. I think it's going to be interesting with a team sort of coming at us and playing a bit more expansively. Maybe a side that's, maybe on paper, or maybe just looking at the fixture, you'd say Brighton are the favourites going into this game. But I'd actually probably call it the other way. I'd actually say I'd fancy Bournemouth. As you say, they've got a very good home record. They've got a good side. And I think when they go into this game, they're going to look at this and say, there's no fear for them, is there? I mean, from a neutral perspective, they're probably going to think, Brighton are going to try and dominate the game. But as we've seen recently, we've seen a different Brighton. We've seen one that maybe even might have to try and pull a little bit of a Newcastle, maybe go there, soak up a bit of pressure and see what we can get.
Yeah, definitely. I think it will be sort of see how the game sort of plans out first 10 minutes, sort of see what sort of Bournemouth side they might throw at you. But yeah, I think overall you'll be able to manage it well because you've managed all the other games well so far. So I think you'll be able to cope with whatever they throw at you. Bournemouth probably have had a bit more of a rest. I don't think they've had as many players go away on international break as Brighton have. But yeah, I think it will be a really interesting game. Two managers who are very good, quite young, both very good tactically. So I think it will sort of be a battle of the tactics. But for me, I still think Brighton edge it. I think they'll go into it favourites just because I believe they have more quality. But Bournemouth have shown this season that, again, especially at home, that they're very strong. And I think as well, defensively, they're looking fairly strong as well. I think maybe at the start of the season, a bit weak in that sort of area.
They had a bit of a tough game at Brentford, didn't they? I mean, again, it wasn't at home. It's a strange one. It was one that was so many goals in such a sort of quick succession period. But I mean, we've been quite guilty of doing the same thing, so I can't speak too soon. But as you rightly say, Brighton have got a lot of quality now. In depth. I mean, there's an opportunity to change it around a little bit. Fingers crossed. At the time of recording this, anyway, there doesn't seem to be any fresh injuries on the international break. So far, so okay. I don't want to jinx that though, because you never know. By the time this goes out, there could be something happen. But yeah, just our luck, to be honest. But we've got a pretty much near enough full squad. It'll be interesting to sort of see what happens with Minte, with Lewis Dunk. I'd imagine Dunk's maybe another week or so away. I probably wouldn't risk him yet, probably. Yeah,
mate, it's difficult because over the international break, that's probably where they can have the time where they can just work and sort of focus on them players, getting them back fit. Some would have been away, some might have gone away to have a break. Obviously, quite a few have been away on international duty. Obviously, I say touchwood, there doesn't seem to be many injuries. I think the players that have gone away have done quite well. Obviously, Evans scoring the other day, that will just do him the world of good. So yeah, I think it's one of them. I think hopefully, they say Lewis Dunk, I don't know if it's too early.
I think
you sort of start to see beginning of this week whether he's involved in training, but then you go, okay, might be ready to train, but maybe not necessarily ready to play. So I think, just sort of see how the week goes and then sort of work out what players you got.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the joy of having the squad depth we've got at the moment is we don't probably need to rush, especially
No.
Minte.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no need to throw him in unless he is absolutely ready. I mean, this Brighton team is a very good one. I mean, especially going forward. Having João Pedro back and Danny Welbeck's been in such great form. Jorginho has been capable of playing on the right side as well at times. Brian Gruder's now eventually coming into the side a bit more consistently. So, going forward, we're looking pretty much as full strength as we can be. A shame about Solly, I think. It's worth mentioning. I think he's had a bit of a minor setback somewhere. Probably not too unexpected, I'd assume, just based on the longevity of his injury. He's been out since, that City game last season, which was now, nearly a year and a bit ago. My expectation on Solly is still the same as it was at the beginning of the season. If I can see him play for Brighton again, I'm happy. I have no sort of further expectation. What do you think on the Solly thing, by the way? Because I never spoke to you about it before.
Yeah, it's really difficult because it's such a big injury.
Yeah.
Obviously, when it comes out and you hear the injury, it's okay, by me, you're at least out for a season. And then you flip it and look at Jakob Moder and how long he was out for and the amount of sort of setbacks he had, obviously slightly different injury. It's always difficult when you have such big injuries because it might not necessarily be that's what's causing the problem. It's when you're coming back and then something else happens because your body hasn't been doing the same thing it was doing before. So you might just be having some muscle problems or things just start to maybe seize up a little bit. So it's always difficult when you've been out for so long to then go back into it and your body's just absolutely fine with it. Hopefully he can get back to what he was like because he's a fantastic player. Obviously I was lucky enough to sort of train with him and work with him, and he's a very, very good player, especially out wide. Get him in 1v1 situations. He'll always beat his man. So yeah, I think it's a shame having a setback, but hopefully he can come back and start playing again.
You say as a player, but also as a guy, sort of what mentality to bounce back from such an injury. Matt O'Reilly got so praised for it, didn't he? For his mentality on coming back. I mean, nowhere near the severity of Solly's, of course, but even still, he's way ahead of his schedule. He's back and he's even scored for Brighton since. Yeah. With Solly, I mean, it is a massive injury. I think he got a bit of a double hit with the knee. Yeah. He had an ACL before as well, so he's not on the younger side maybe that he'd want to be. So that it's going to take a long time. I mean, would your mentality expectation of him be, he's absolutely always doing the right thing, and you can imagine he's strong enough to try and bounce back as best he can.
Yeah, definitely. I think Solly's obviously unfortunately had a fair few injuries throughout his career, so he'll know how to deal with it. But it's always a struggle when you've had such a major injury, and then you're close to getting back, like you played their minutes for the 21s, and then having another setback. It's so painful because you're so close to being back, and to have a setback is so frustrating. But for me, Solly's he's a terrific guy. He's committed and he'll be doing the right things every day to want to get better. He'll be getting well looked after. It's just sometimes it doesn't always plan out and these things happen, and sometimes your body breaks down, and where he's had lots of injuries, he's not going to be fully sharp. He's had operations and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I do feel for him because it's really tough. But hopefully, like I say, we can see him playing a Brighton shirt, which would be nice.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, as I say, my expectation is purely just get him back at some point. I don't want him to even be half the player he was when De Zerbi was here. I remember some fans sort of thinking, well, we still got Solly, don't forget Solly. And I'm like, it's not the same as just, it's not just having an injury and he's going to be back. Yeah. It's a potential career changer. It's not necessarily an ender. But particularly at the top level, we're playing at the sort of intensity that one Hertzler wants to do and that De Zerbi did with his wingers. It's very difficult. Yeah. And I'll be very surprised if he's going to be maybe scoring goals week in, week out again for us. I can only really hope he does. Yeah. But we'll see. I think he certainly won't be available, obviously, for this game at all, or even in the foreseeable. But so for Brighton, squad depth-wise, as I say, we're looking very good. Yeah. I think going into this game, there's a lot of confidence on the back of last game. As I said to you before, we've got that newfound way of winning. In games that maybe I don't know, not don't deserve to win, because we've won the game at the end of the day, and you deserve to win based on the performance you put in. But that Newcastle game, you sort of go back to, and the way we sort of dug deep, and then can you contrast it to the sort of last three games against Liverpool and Manchester City, where we've played different again, as I said. I think Bournemouth's going to be a difficult one. I think it'll be a bit of a share of possession. I don't think there's going to be one way or the other. I think I'd like to hope that we go there and try and take the game to them at the same time. But you don't want to give them maybe too much respect, or even go there and play that high line or something, and shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, I think you're doing what all top teams tend to do, and you're grinding out results. Maybe not necessarily playing your best football or you're playing the best you have done all season. Or maybe last year it's slightly different, but yeah, you're doing what a lot of top teams do, and that is grinding out results and getting wins, getting draws. When, like you say, in previous seasons you might have lost the game. So I think that's a really positive side. The Bournemouth one, I think you'll go there and you'll probably try and bring it to them and dominate the game. But like you say, you have to sometimes give the opposition a bit of respect because they do play well, and especially at home. And that's where I say I think it'll be a battle of the tactics. I think the two managers will go head to head, and it'll be really interesting to sort of see the style Brighton play. I can't really predict what style he's going to play.
No, that's the thing. We can't.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's so weird. Like normally you'd know that Brighton are going to go there, try to dominate. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And that's how it's been for the last 2 or 3 years. We're going to go to this game. We're going to try and hold the ball for as long as we can. We know, particularly with De Zerbi, we're going to try and emphasise the build up. We're going to try and bring the wingers into the game. And it's not quite that same thing anymore. I mean, what we can sort of guarantee is the amount of runners we've got, and that's the likes of João Pedro, the likes of Jorginho, Welbeck, Mitoma, probably Gruder maybe on the right side, and then in the midfield obviously got Carlos Baleba, potentially Matt O'Reilly could be given a go, touch and go, and Jack Hinchelwood, whether he's going to be okay. I don't know that at the moment, to be honest with you, but we'll find out towards the end of the week. I would imagine probably not quite, based on the way he went down, didn't look the best against City. I would quite like to see O'Reilly start, to be fair, just on the basis of the last game. If he gets a goal in the first 10 minutes of his career, then I'm more than happy with it. I think we're definitely going to try and sort of emphasise that. I'd like to hope anyway. That's what I want to see. I want to see us try and sort of control that midfield, overload them again, like we did with Man City. I think that second half against City, that overload was so effective. And I like the sort of way we bring out our the best out of our attackers. It's going to be interesting though. I think defensively, that's always the sort of worry with us. We don't quite know what we're going to get defensively. Obviously, JP Van Hecker's been on internationals with the Netherlands. Igor's not been away, but we have had, I don't know if Veltman went. I don't think Veltman went to the Netherlands. I don't think, if I'm right in saying. So Kadioglu, I don't think is going to be quite fit. There's talk of him being injured. From Turkish media, and Bart's obviously been away as well. So, the whole back line's been away. We've not maybe been blessed with depth at the back, as we've said before. So maybe that could be a weakness that the likes of Semenyo, the likes of sort of Iraiola's side that likes to be so sort of tactically dominant could cause us problems. Even Nelson as well. Yeah,
but potentially, I think that's the beauty of Brighton at the moment. It will make it really difficult for Bournemouth to plan. So obviously, Bournemouth maybe this week might go, okay, what Brighton team's going to turn up? And I think that's sometimes the beauty of it, is Bournemouth will probably plan for 2 or 3 different styles, and then they'll probably try and work out within the first 5-10 minutes. I think that's always a thing in football. You should sort of know the opposition's formation within the first 30 seconds to a minute. It's easier, though, if you're going into a game, your opposition's tactics and having to sort of do it mid-game or early on. So I think that's the beauty of Brighton at the moment. It's one of them. It's sort of seeing what players you might have available, what style, and I think, for me, I still think Brighton will probably go and try and dominate. It's difficult. It is difficult. Yeah. You just don't know. You don't know who's going to turn up.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing as well. I don't know if you looked at the weather forecast, mate, but apparently there's a storm on Saturday.
Yeah, windy. It's always windy.
Very windy. So maybe there could be a little bit of emphasis on having a go. Because, I mean, look, mate, we got some ball strikers at this club. That's one thing we can say.
Yeah.
We've got the likes of Julio. Also, Carlos Baleba, so capable of shooting from distance. For someone like Butler Bruggen, I mean, as a goalkeeper on a windy day, talk to me.
It's horrible. It's generally horrible. Like I prefer to play if it's just chuck it down with rain and no wind, because the wind is, honestly, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to deal with because it's so unpredictable. Because sometimes it kicks in, sometimes it doesn't, and it's like it will just pick up, and then other times it just won't. Especially with like crosses, you got to anticipate where the ball's going to land, and then you can't, because it'll gust of wind, and all of a sudden the ball come from there to there. It's horrible, and especially at the Vitality Stadium, it's horrible there. When it's windy, it's absolutely horrible. It's going all over the gaff, and it can literally be a game of two halves because of the wind.
I think it's going to be bad all day.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be a break in it.
No.
Which is, I mean, it isn't a myth, is it? It's not the one of them where people say, on a windy day, let them shoot from distance. I mean, it is literally, if they do have a go, it does just go everywhere, doesn't it?
The ball just, especially what the balls are like these days, they're made of nothing. So they're so light and they just fly, and it's more the fact it's unpredictable. You just don't know what it's going to do, and if it is wet, because they're probably the ball will just skid, and even when you're playing passes, balls will either run on or it will hold up. Like I remember time, especially down at the training ground in Lancet, and taking goal kicks and kicking it and just hoping the ball then doesn't come back for a corner. It used to get that windy down there. Weather dependent, that might also change the style.
Well, that's it. That's sort of what I'm getting at. I mean, it could be another different Brighton where we see something a bit different, maybe lumping a few balls into the box and having a go.
Yeah, it's tough, but like you say, I think that'll be Bournemouth, is sort of seeing what Brighton are maybe like on the day. Obviously, like I say, they'll plan for 2-3 different styles, but I think a lot of it will be, right, let's sort of see what they're like first 5 minutes, maybe see which way the wind's going, and go from there. So, yeah, I think for me, I'd always prefer to be with the wind second half, I think. I reckon just go with the wind second half, just because if you're chasing, you're going last 20 minutes and you're up against it and playing into wind, oh my God, it's horrible. It's actually horrible.
Yeah, it could be a long one. I mean, I'm going to be right at the front as well, because the only seats there are left available, so I'm going to get soaked, mate. I think I'm like 3 rows back in the away, and I'm going to get absolutely
bring a poncho.
I'm not going to be a fashionable day at all. My hair will not look like this, that's for sure. But yeah, it's going to be a weird game. It's going to be a weird game purely on the basis of what we discussed. I think, as I say, tactically, we don't quite know what the Brighton's going to turn up. I'd quite like to see a little bit of a replica of the City second half last week. As I say, I quite like the idea of overloading them, especially with the weather. That is something that we can do. I want to see Carlos Baleba start this game. I mean,
definitely.
It's a game for him. He changed it at the last sort of couple. Yes, okay, he had a little bit of an injury. Maybe it was about managing his minutes. But for me, he's been one of the players of the year, and I think having that extra bit of physicality, but also the way he can drive that ball forward, it could be a difference maker against any team in this league. It's going to be a tough game, though. Ethan Nilsson's obviously right in form. He's sort of one of them strikers that's come in and hit the ground running eventually. Semenyo has been so lethal for them in recent years. And they've got a good side. It has to, as I said, they are a good team, and they are a manager that I've got that respect for. There was so much sort of question marks over him when he took over at Bournemouth. I think they got rid of Gary O'Neill, didn't they? They went to Wolves. And it was one, and I remember it at the time, and Bournemouth fans were sort of quite happy about it. And it reminds me of when we got rid of Houghton, and as harsh and as lethal as it was at the time, you think, well, it was for the right cause, as much as I love Houghton.
Sometimes you need to make that change.
Yeah.
And I think they're probably always going to have difficulties maybe with recruitment, and so really getting in like top players, just based on probably their budget and maybe where they're based. But
you got 65 mil for Solanke.
To be fair, that's true. That would have helped a lot. But then losing all them goals, he's then done well to then have a squad that are scoring goals. They got a lot of pace up front as well. I think when you sort of have that, it always brings a little bit of fright to the opposition. Because defenders, like I say, last thing they want to do is running backwards against quick forwards. So they do have a good squad, and I respect the manager a lot, because I think he's done a lot there, and he's got them playing decent football and getting results. Which is the main thing.
Well, you've got to say fair play, and I think they are. I think this will be one of the hardest games this season, if I'm being honest, and for those reasons alone. Let's get a score prediction. What do you reckon? It's a tough one, isn't it?
I'm gonna go. I want to go 3-1 Brighton.
3-1.
Yeah, I reckon goals. I'm gonna go 3-1 Brighton.
I can't see them conceding 3 at home. I just can't. And this is just off. This is off Bournemouth PTSD. This goes back a long way, mate. Like, I remember that Matt Ritchie wonder goal against us in like the Championship in 2013. Like my memory of Bournemouth is always bad. I remember them when they got promoted in 2014. I think it was David Stockdale had a howler, and he let in like probably one of the worst free kicks you'd ever had. Was it Jan Kermigan, the goal scorer? I remember his name. We've struggled against Bournemouth for so long.
Things can change. I just reckon it'll be. You'll be 2-1, and you'll nick like a late goal. For me, I think that's what it'll be, and they'll sort of go push forward, and you'll score a late one, and it'll just kill the game. That's just sort of how I plan it out. I don't think it will be like 3-1's obviously 4 goals, but I think it'll still be a close game. I reckon
It'll be a breakaway in quality. Yeah. I think it's possible. It's definitely possible. Mate, as I said, our team is very good. And I have to remember that I forget that it's not the old Brighton anymore.
That's what I mean. I think you just possess too much quality. And I think that's what will make the difference. But yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. I'll go... my heart's going to say we're going to win because I have to. Yeah. What's the point in coming on a podcast if we're going to lose?
You need to be more positive.
It's pointless. We've just beaten Manchester City, Toby.
Exactly.
Let's say 2-1. But I think my head is saying that it could be a draw. And I'll take a draw in the grand scheme.
I think you've got to go into the game going.
No, I wouldn't take a draw.
That's what I mean. I think Brighton now go into most games, apart from maybe City away and maybe Liverpool away. But I don't know, even them games, I reckon...
To be fair, Liverpool away were good.
That's what I mean. I reckon even Brighton nowadays should go into every game thinking we're going to win. And I think they do go into every game going, we're going to win, but I think they go with that mentality of like,
I think fans
winning.
Just still haven't caught on with it. Like, you know, I think as much as sometimes like, we're European, you know, we need to win this, we want to get to Europe. But then I'm just like, I completely forget everything and like back to the old days and think, oh God, please don't lose this game. And I guess it's just football fans, and it's hard to keep up, especially with the club like us. You know, you see it from there to there, and it's insane. But I'll stick with the win because I don't want to say we're going to lose. It's pointless. But I do have that reservation. I'm aware that Bournemouth are a good side, and if there are any Bournemouth fans watching, I am humble. All right, I'm not going to be here saying we're going to humble this club. Okay, Toby, that's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Have we missed anything? Is there anything that was worth mentioning that I've somehow forgotten somewhere?
Not that comes to mind, no. Not that I think of. I just think, I do think it'll be a really good game of football. I think it's 2 teams that play good football, and I'd still think it'll be down to the tactics of the 2 managers. 2 very good managers, and I think that's what it'll go down to, and maybe the weather. So we'll have to see how that pans out as well.
JP Van Hecker header penned in.
Yeah, from outside the box, and the wind takes it.
Happened against Athens, didn't it? Anyway, mate, top man. Pleasure to be down in Earth and Star as well. They've got a few things coming for Albion fans as well, so make sure if you are a Brighton fan, you are coming around here as well, because there could be a few offers and bits and pieces that they want, of course. But make sure you do come down to Earth and Stars in Brighton. We'll see you very soon. Make sure you keep streaming on all platforms. Like and comment if you're on YouTube. I want to hear some score predictions in the comments as well, Bournemouth fans included. And we'll see you. Make sure you follow Toby, of course. And we'll see you very soon. And goodbye.